In regards to like placement of your stationary machinery, you know, we've been talking with a few other individuals when we've gone in to film their shop interiors, and that is a big decision. Where you're going to put your table saw, which in some cases is going to be permanent. It's not going to be in casters or anything to move around. Some of the smaller pieces of equipment, like band saws and chop saws and so on and so forth, joiners, they can be, you know, moved around to produce enough space for the project, you know, that's being built. So in regards to when you design the shop for workbench location and for machinery, you have a number of your tools that are portable, that you can roll around and move.
More or less, that they move. They don't like to, but they are capable of moving. Yeah, there was some thought going into the placement of the tools. Of course, you do that all in your little graph paper and look at other people's workshops. So the thought process was there's a lean-to outside for lumber storage, so the wood starts there, it comes out of that door. And normally the first thing you do is you go to the chop saw, cut it down to size, and then depending on what you're building, typically it goes to the joiner and the planer, and then it comes back here to either the table saw or the band saw. So there's room to move around, and depending on the size of the wood, you know, these things can be moved a bit. They can be moved. There's just some of them are heavier than others. So that's the basic thought of it. There is a workflow there, and then you have your benches over here that are. You can't have too many benches. So I got the workbench, and then these assembly benches, sharpening station, metal working station. Thank you, Erica Moody, for that one.
Drill press.
And then Norm Abrams, of course, I was doing all this research before. Norm Abrams was, you know, I think there's a Norm Abrams table, there's a Norm Abrams
clamp
rack, and gets it off the walls. And then French cleats everywhere, so you don't have to make a permanent decision on where your tools go. You just make French cleats and you just kind of slide things around.
Yeah.
That's been 2 years, so far so good.
Yeah. So for our viewers, you know, it pays to put some real thought into exactly what you want and then how you want to lay it out. So you don't find yourself, you know, a year or 2 years later, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that, and so on and so forth.
By all means, and there's there's so much stuff on the internet, finding some good ones, finding some shops you like, and then even the floor plan. You could actually get a real visual look out doing the 3D floor plan where you can walk around in there, put the windows and the doors here and what it'll look like, and then going up the stairs where will the stove fit. So that was really handy, and it ended up looking just like this.
Right.
You know, it's like,
and that even comes into play if you have an existing building, whether it's a garage or a barn or some sort of outbuilding. You're not going to build a new structure, but giving plenty of thought to how you're going to lay that out. And you know, Steve just mentioned that natural flow of work, wood stored outside, coming through the door. You'll take a notice over here, you know, Steve had the forethought to create, you know, an opening there so that there's plenty of room to move the projects in and out, whether it be a boat or whatever else. Because it's interesting, you talk to a lot of people who are building boats, you know, amateur builders and so on and so forth, or hobbyists, and getting a boat in and out of that space, they never really gave that a whole lot of thought. So here they are, they're presented these challenges. Okay, now that I've built this boat, oh right, how am I going to get out of here? Great idea right there and it makes it easy.
A 25-foot mast, I don't know how it would get out of there if it didn't have those doors there. There's no way you're going to angle something like that through without the doors. So those do come in handy.
But again, the importance of that natural flow. You're going from one station to another station to another station to the final station. And boy, you know, that will just save a lot of aggravation and a lot of frustration when you're doing your work. And this is cool. You know, the gentleman that you bought some of your equipment from, in regards to saving space, here we have a table saw stop, and he incorporated cabinetry into it just to save space in the shop. So we have, you know, cutter bits in here, router bits, we have saw blades, all that kind of stuff. So think about that too in regards to how you can use space wisely and how some things can serve 2 and 3 different purposes. I mean, you can't, we can't emphasize more how thinking about things like this before you actually get started is just, it's the only way to go. The natural light, Steve is blessed, with this spot right here, the southern exposure. Here we are in this, beautiful sunny day. Besides the overhead lights, LEDs.
LEDs. Yeah.
LEDs, they're becoming more and more popular. Not only are you gaining plenty more light in your workspace over here, whether you're at the sharpening stones or whether you're on the workbench, but it also creates some nice natural heat in this workspace too. And the dust collection system. I mean, you want to definitely go that route. You don't want to be working in an environment that could be, hazardous to your health and so on and so forth. Yeah. Just a beautiful facility. And we were at a shop the other day, Steve, and originally the gentleman was storing a lot of his lumber and so forth inside. Well, he added a lean-to on it, so now he moved all of that material outside, which created more open space.
Yep, space is good. Storage is hard to come by. We didn't really talk about the insulation a little bit, but if you're in a northern climate, of course, insulation is just key. The 2x6 construction, they well insulated it in the morning, even in the heart of winter. Once I get that stove going up to temperature, which about an hour or so, I can keep this place warm all day long. Stop feeding it by 1 o'clock and it stays comfortable. You really don't want to be much above 40 or 50 or so degrees when you're working.
You don't want to be uncomfortable when you're working, right? Because it's going to affect the quality of your work. Plus also if you're storing paints and varnishes and epoxies and things like that, you want to have a shop that can hold its heat through the night.
Yeah. Yep, that was important, and that's worked out good. And there is a heat pump in there that I rarely use, but on cold days when I'm not going to be out at the shop at all, I'll set that at 50, 55, and keep the paints and varnish happy.
Yeah. Well, beautiful job.
Thank you. I'm still smiling at this one. This is my shop to die for, and never thought I'd have something like this.
Yeah.